It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
So, folks, you're hearing these things about President Trump, okay? I heard my friends saying the worst president we ever had. Things are bad. His ratings are going down the tubes. Healthcare will never happen. What's going on in the White House with this Russia thing? It's just terrible. Of course, you're reading that and hearing that from the liberal press. 85 or 90% of them do not like Trump. Today, my guest is Congressman Lou Barletta. Someday he may be our U.S. Senator. Well, Congressman, let me ask you this. If you read the press and if you listen to the press, and what else do people have? I mean, I talk to people, and I have a friend of mine who says, Sammy, this is probably one of the worst presidents we ever had. And I said, why? Well, the Russia thing, the email thing, the immigration thing. And I said, well, okay. What has he accomplished? Okay. So why don't you tell us what he's accomplished?
Well, first of all, this president has probably accomplished more in his first 6 months than any president in our lifetime, realizing what he inherited from the past administration. We are watching the stock market at all-time highs, the business confidence and the confidence of the American consumer, again at all-time highs, unemployment dropping. This president has reestablished America's strength around the world, country by country, where our allies, again, are proud to stand next to us side by side with the United States, and our enemies know that this president can't be pushed around. And that's a big change from the past administration who really went around the world and apologized for America as we watched ISIS metastasize around the world, Russia's aggression, North Korea, Iran. I mean, we could go on and on. But this president, in a very short time, has made it very clear that he is not a politician. He may not say things the way other presidents say them, but the American people knew that when they elected him. He said he was going to stop illegal immigration. Illegal crossings are down 75%, and he hasn't laid one brick on the ground for a wall yet. He is deporting criminal aliens, something that he said he was going to do. This president has kept his promises, which is driving Washington and the politicians on both sides, Democrats and Republicans, the establishment who want things the way they were. It's driving them crazy.
Lou, a friend of mine yesterday said, sometimes people go to Washington and Washington changes them. When you went to Washington, you tried to change Washington because you saw the swamp and the destruction that exists in that city. In the district. So when you went there, you had, I remember I asked you about healthcare, and you had a list, and you said, Sammy, we have this, we have that. So you go there and you find the establishment, all their cliques and everybody is together. What did you, when you faced it when you went down there, Lou, okay, because they're saying, well, what the hell did Lou Barletta do, okay? Little did I realize what you really did. What did you do when you went down there before Trump comes into the picture?
Well, first thing I did is I stood up to my own leadership when I had to. I remember the conversations I had with Speaker Boehner when I wanted to get help for Bloomsburg from the flooding. Ended up getting Speaker Boehner to come up to the area to see what happened. And very quickly, Sam, I've established myself that I'm going to do what I think is right and what's right for the people. I've always fought for what I believed was right, and people here in Hazleton know that. I did that as a mayor because I thought the problem of illegal immigration was wrong and it was hurting people who were here. And so I've never been afraid to stand up for what I believe in. You can't go to Washington and be afraid to lose. I don't like being in Washington, but I'm there for a reason. And the time that I spend there, I'm going to spend it doing what I believe in. And when you do that, when you have that attitude, Washington doesn't change you. you go there with the attitude that you're going to change Washington. I have a president, and we have a president who feels the same. He's an outsider who's coming to Washington, and he's listened to the average American and given them a voice, and he's standing up to it. And all I'm seeing in Washington is resistance, total resistance by the Democrat Party. They will not give him a vote on anything. And that's not, to me, Sam, that's not something against President Trump. That's against America. You know, when you want the president to fail and try to, no matter what he does, is to try to get him to fail, you're willing to hurt America to stop a president, and that's got to change.
I always ask my question, you know, when you're dealing with a person and they're doing certain things, no matter who it is, you always ask the question, well, why would that person do that? Why? There has to be something behind that. And I'm a firm believer, this is only my opinion, ideology. When you look at the ideology of the Democrat platform, okay, and you look at that ideology, and then you look at the Republican platform, okay, there is a major difference. To me, this is only my opinion, and I encourage the viewers to look up the Democrat platform. I mean, they're for abortions, they're for everything to me that is immoral, okay? And unfortunately, we have a U.S. Senator, Bob Casey, who endorses that, okay? And he's in the state of Pennsylvania. So what I can't understand, so when you have that ideology, so now you have the liberal press, this is only my opinion, who follows that ideology, okay? So now here's a president came in, and then you hear, well, look at the turmoil. I mean, so any business, if you're in business, you make changes when you have to make changes. So explain to me, okay, and to the viewers, why do you think Trump has gone through so many people?
Well, you know, it's not unusual. I'm sure many of the administrations, past administrations, made a lot of changes. However, it's not magnified the way everything this president does. No matter what he does, tomorrow morning he's going to wake up and the media is going to go to work and trying to find something to create a scandal or a fake news or some kind of news about. And remember, he's not a politician. He never ran for any office before. He was a businessman. So putting the right team together is going to take time, getting the chemistry, getting the people that you want, and realizing what he's dealing with there. He was dealing with a lot of leaks, and there's still a lot of the former administration, their people, their rank and file people are still there. He's having a hard time. I mean, it's taking longer for him to get people confirmed than any president that we can remember. So he's going to fire people, and he knows that. He did it in the private sector. And if you go to work for Donald Trump, you have to be prepared. He's not going to wait long. If he thinks he needs to make a change, he's going to make a change. I'm glad. I'd rather have a president like that than have an administration full of people who aren't on the same page or aren't getting the president where he wants to go to. So it's not a big deal.
So here again, I go back to the ideological thinking here, okay? When you have a press that, and the publishers or whomever, the editors that want to me it looks like socialism, okay? But what I don't hear, and what I hear when people say this is the worst president we ever had, and I say, well, okay, do you have a retirement fund, the 401ks? If you have a retirement fund, the Dow, the stock market, is breaking all kind of records. The jobs are, we have the lowest, as you said, the lowest unemployment. We have the immigration, and we also have a president who is concerned about the morality of this country, okay? I did not see that with the other president, and maybe I'm wrong. And so where you sit, and you speak to the president, you're one of the few congressmen or senators that have access to talking to President Trump. When he speaks to you and you ask, I mean, he talks to you, what does he say to you?
Sam, it's almost like, you know, if you've heard him on the campaign trail, that's exactly who he is. He is just so focused on winning for America. You know, he said one time about the stories he heard from average Americans who were left behind by the politicians, by Washington, by everyone who was in Washington. The stories he heard, he will never forget. I was invited to the White House when the president had families who lost a son or a daughter, who were victims of illegal immigrants who have killed one of their loved ones. And before the media even came in, I got to talk to many of them. And he met them on the campaign trail. And he was so moved that by what has happened to them that they told me he never forgot it. And he brought them back. And you know, passing, it was right when we were passing a couple laws that would again take care of these families of victims. And they cried, many of them cried, and they said, this man really listened and cares. And you find out when you see the real Donald Trump, the heart that he has for the people that he's met. Remember, this is a billionaire who didn't need to do this, and to believe that he has become the voice of common, average Americans who have been left behind by the politicians.
And the thing that I guess that the wacko liberals, I call them wackos because they are wackos, that they're doing everything to destroy this guy, not looking at what he's doing, okay? And I'm hoping that the Senate or the investigation on what Hillary did, which was way more devastating than what even conceiving what Trump did. When you look at healthcare, and some people say, well, let's move on. Well, those people who are saying move on are not the same people who lost insurance, who are paying exorbitant rates, who are getting fined, and all this stuff. And as that begins to grow, the Democrats who created this terrible mess that we have, all of a sudden they want to come up with another solution. I don't know what solution they have. I mean, are they working? I understand they're supposed to be working with you guys on the other side.
Well, you can't get one vote. There wasn't one vote to repeal or replace Obamacare. So no, there was no effort. Their whole agenda is to stop President Trump, no matter what it is. You can't oppose somebody even before they announce what they're going to do, and this is what has happened in Washington. And Sam, I got to tell you, there were even Republicans as well that have not worked with this president, and that's a shame because he has the support of the American people, and they're not going to forget this.
Well, according to what you read, okay, I don't know if you were ever a person who got a survey called about a survey, okay? My wife takes them just to learn of how they twist things, okay? They don't know who we are. And it's a fascinating thing when they call, how things are twisted. So I always have a problem, other than a true survey. I mean, like when you conduct a survey, you know it's a true survey. But when a politician in a party conducts a survey, then you hear the lowest ratings this guy has ever had. But yet when he goes and does his talks, the places are jammed. There's thousands of people waiting outside to see him. So don't you think these politicians are going to pay a price when they run again?
Yeah, I do. I think they continue to be out of touch with the American people. They've lost their way. They're drinking the Kool-Aid of Washington, and they're very comfortable. They don't like this man who's come to Washington and is shaking things up, who is draining the swamp, who's not afraid to tell politicians what he thinks about them. And they don't like this because he's exposing them. He's exposing the media. He's exposing the politicians who have just go to work and they're not getting anything done for the American people. They're not listening to the American people. He's fighting the same people that he fought on the campaign trail, and he's fighting them now in Washington.
What I can't understand, and I'm in this business, how many viewers does CNN have to lose? How many viewers does MSNBC have to lose? How many subscribers do the New York Times have to lose, which they are losing continuously, before they realize that maybe we should print the truth and print the facts? When we come back, I want to talk about your health care. What I'm hearing is you guys for 7 years said you were going to change it. You had this, you have that. and you can't even get together now. So what's going on? Do you have your act together? My guest is Congressman Lou Barletta, folks, from the 11th Congressional District. We come back, we'll talk a little bit more about what really is happening with healthcare. Folks, if you did not download our app, I encourage you to download the app, search SSP TV, and you can watch all of the shows. And for those people who live out of town, that I know they watch us on the website, but now they can watch all the shows we have on the app. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show. Remember, 24/7, SSPTV.com. You can watch all of our shows. And folks, remember SSP TV. Search SSP TV for our app that we have. My guest is Congressman Lou Barletta from the 11th Congressional District. So, Lou, we 7 years, the Republicans have been telling the American people, we got to get a repeal, get rid of Obamacare, because you saw the mess that's happening and continue to mess. Okay, you get there, Congress passes something, then you get into the Senate, and things fall apart.
Yeah, Sam, the Republican Party itself is as you know, we have some Freedom Caucus members who are from more conservative areas. We have more moderate Republicans, and getting them all on board, it was like herding cats. Very difficult to get both groups and everybody on board. It is almost impossible when you have a situation like that, when you cannot get one vote from the Democrat Party, which means that the only way anything can pass is you have to literally get every one of your members, or almost all of your members. In the Senate case, you can only lose 2, all on board for the bill. So, it's very unfortunate. The American people are disgusted. They want this thing done. Obamacare is imploding right before their eyes. People, they talk about, how many people did not have insurance. How many Americans were hurt by Obamacare that they watched their premiums go so high and their deductibles go so high with them that they could no longer afford to go to the doctor. They have an insurance card, but they don't have insurance because they can't afford to go, because their out-of-pocket expense, has risen so high. And remember that the Democrats and those that voted for it said that your premiums would go down by $2,500. The president said that, President Obama, and that if you like your doctor, you can keep it, and if you like your health care plan, you can keep it. None of that was true.
No, yeah, and we don't hear the press talking about that. We just can. So why would McCain? I know I have my personal opinion. I'm figuring McCain figured, well, this is only my opinion. McCain, and I wish him the best of health. He's in my prayers every day. I really wish he's in the best of health. But I think it was just an opportunity to say, thumb his nose at Trump and saying, okay, remember what you did to me? Now this is what I'm going to do to you. I'm going to defeat this. That's only my opinion. I'm hoping that I didn't hear a solution. I didn't hear them come up and say, I'm voting no, but this is why, and this is what I recommend. Now maybe they did, and maybe I'm not getting this information. Do they have an alternate plan?
Well, I believe the White House is going to work on an alternate plan, and the White House is going to take the lead. We cannot walk away from this and leave the American people
but
with
it seems
Obamacare.
That some of these Republican senators don't care.
Well, that's
my impression.
Well, that's why the election is going to be so important, because one vote. There's an example. Obamacare would be done if there were one more vote in the Senate.
Why would McCain and some of the other Republicans vote no? What was, I mean, I'm not internal. I don't know what's happening. And if there's something that they have, I would be the first to say, well, I apologize. But to me, I think it's really political to a degree.
I don't know. I was disappointed, Sam, because we needed to get to conference. We cannot leave Obamacare, leave the American people with Obamacare. We're watching insurers pull out of the market, and premiums are going to go up even higher. And I don't know, people can't afford what they are right now.
Well, I told you, I have friends of mine who their deductibles are $5,000. They went up to $6,000. Other insurances, the people that I know, they raised up to 25, 30%. People are getting penalized, etc. So I think this backlash will happen. I'm hoping that they come up. I'm understanding that probably Trump will try to come up with something to try to get them on track. But when you let's go to the sanctuary cities. All right. Recently, I just read again a person who was in jail a number of times, released in a sanctuary city, then ended up either raping or killing somebody. And basically, I don't think we're reading a lot. There's a lot happening in these sanctuary cities, but I don't think the press is really printing that, okay? This goes back to what you guys had said about sanctuary cities. Now, you already put a fine, or they're not getting federal money now? Is that what's happening?
That's what the law is. They will now get punished by withholding federal monies from sanctuary cities. And Sam, there was just a story the other day where a man was in the country illegally and deported 20 times.
Yes.
20 times. Yeah. Comes back and commits another crime.
Yeah.
This is what was going on all across America. And again, the American people have had enough. We've watched MS-13, this President Trump going right after the gangs. MS-13 come in through the open southern border. I know probably better than anyone, maybe better than anyone in the country, what happens when you stand up against illegal immigration. You're called racist, bigot. Oh, yeah. You're called every name in the book. And all I wanted to do is protect the people in our community here. And, it's funny that, we have a president now, and that's probably what really drew me to him, because he wasn't afraid to say what he thought. And that the problem is, American people, they want it stopped. They don't want to compete for jobs with people who are here illegally.
You would be surprised, I think you already know this, how many Hispanics are for Trump and are supporting him, what he's doing. Because they don't want to see that
He's
either.
Defending them.
Exactly.
He wants them to earn more money.
Yes.
He wants them to have a better job.
Yeah.
He wants their children to have a better education. That's why they came to America. That's what, that's the American dream that they're looking for. And people who oppose stopping illegal immigration really want to make it harder for the immigrants, and they try to make it seem like they're supporting them when they're really not. They're making it harder. They're making life harder for them rather than better.
Remember, when you give people things for nothing and you have them live off the government, they want to continue to keep you in office. This is my opinion. So the Democrats can't give it enough away, give more welfare, and who pays for that but the American taxpayer? And that's the flip side here. When you're looking at, you had mentioned on a show, about immigration. Oh yes, because when you start talking about that, then you're anti this, you're anti that. The furthest from the truth. Okay, we want immigrants, but we want them legally. We want to make sure they go to the screening like our ancestors did. You told me one of the shows, I think you mentioned, Sam, I have 100 apples in this basket. Now 99 of them are completely great. There's one that is poisonous, will kill you. Have an apple. And this is what I think you're getting. Exactly. So even though, yes, there are a lot of that, but there's that one or two that we have to eliminate.
Well, the whole thing is that either we're going to have laws or we're not. And if we have a law that there's a way to come to America, that's the law. And to say we're going to make some people go through that, but if you don't want to do that, just sneak into the country and then you're going to have politicians defend them? What about all the people who waited to come here and had to go through? It's not a very easy process to come into the United States legally, and the people that respect our laws and do it, and then you're going to let others just get ahead of them and come into the country. It's just wrong. We have laws for a reason, and there's enough good reasons, Sam, that I can give you why even people that come across who have not committed crimes, we can't allow that to happen. We've got to have people come in through the proper channels.
Not talking about what disease they're bringing on top of it, what they're bringing into the country.
Well, there is no medical screening done when somebody just crosses the border, and you're putting children at risk.
So let's talk about the state of Pennsylvania. Okay, now we have currently U.S. Senator Bob Casey, Jr., certainly not his father, by no means. What troubles me, and the Catholic radio one day I was listening to, and they were mentioning about the U.S. senators, and they mentioned about Bob Casey being pro-life and et cetera, and I got a little upset about that. I called the director or the producer, and I said, wait a minute. He comes from a beautiful family. I know his brother. I met his brother. His father was a saint. Bob's a little bit different. Junior's a little bit different. But I said, why don't you check his record on abortion? Why don't you check his record? And what did you find when you check his record on abortion, pro-life? Well, I mean, they always say he's a pro-life guy. I don't think he's a pro-life guy.
A national right to life voting keeps track of votes. I believe he has a 0% record this year voting for life. I have a 100% voting record voting for life, and I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of that. Since I've gone to Congress, that's what I believe, and I believe that those babies need a voice, and it should be the voices of people who were elected that go there, that they have the opportunity to be the voice of the unborn.
Well, if you're pro-life, we had a Supreme Court judge just recently elected, appointed, and Senator Bob Casey voted against this judge, Supreme Court judge. He knows the guy was pro-life. Wouldn't that tell me something that, here again, if I'm pro-life, I don't know, I'm thinking that I would vote for that.
Well, you can't be both.
Well,
you can't be both pro-life and pro-choice. You're either one or the other. And like I said, I'm very proud where I stand. That's what I believe. And given the opportunity to go to Washington, I'm proud to be the voice of unborn.
You're pushing the coal industry and the people. Now that we have environmentally friendly coal people, and we've seen an increase. We've seen people are now getting the miners are back in the coal industry, which is environmental. Hillary Clinton said she wanted to put the coal industry out of business. Am I correct in saying that?
No, it's exactly what she said.
She said, I'm going to put the coal business out of business. She also said, I'm for pro-choice, up until even partial abortion, right? Congressman Cartwright, Senator Bob Casey voted for Hillary Clinton. I didn't hear them make a statement saying, look, Hillary, I'm not going to vote for you if you support this or if you support that. Then I would say at least they stood up for that. I didn't hear that.
Well, I can't. I can only speak for myself, Sam, and I know where I stand on issues, and I'm going to continue to fight for what I believe in, and that's all I can do. I can't change anyone else's voting record other than stand up for what I believe in.
I like to talk about the facts, and those are the facts. So whatever decision you make in your career, I know you since you've been the mayor. We've been through a whole, you have a record. Anyone can look up your record of what you've done, and that's the thing I think is most importantly. But folks, look at ideology and do yourself a favor. Look at the Democrat platform, look at the Republican platform, and I want you to know my good friend Senator John Udicek does not believe in the pro-choice, and so does Mike DeCosmo, who's a Democrat chairman for Luzerne County. These guys are family men and they're pro-life. I don't think Rosie O'Donnell likes them, but the point is they're pro-life, and I have to applaud Senator Udicek and also Mike DeCosmo for being that way. Congressman, it's always a pleasure having you on the show. I got to tell you, I really appreciate the fact that you make time to come on and talk to the viewers, okay?
Thank you. Always good to be here.
Good luck in your endeavors, okay? Folks, remember, download SSP TV on our app. You can watch all these shows, and I'm sure you'll enjoy them. We'll see you next time.